Hello everyone and welcome to Blaugrana Everything, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to what is going to be what we'll call a rant review. Yeah, this is going to be part rant, part review. Now, for obvious reasons, I am going to be ranting because a 4-0 loss at home in our Clasico is just unacceptable. It's really not, it's like, nah, that shouldn't be happening, especially when you're in the situation that Barcelona were, and when the path to victory is, I don't know, I think a bit on the obvious side. And granted, Xavi did have his limitations, right? He didn't have Christensen, he didn't have Frankie de Jong. I did say in the preview, I wonder how much of an effect not having de Jong in that midfield is going to have. And yeah, it was a pretty big one, because whenever it was time to track back, whenever it was time to defend in transitions, it was just 3 defenders. Matter of fact, it was 2 defenders. It was always just Koundé and Alonso, and maybe sometimes Araujo, because Balde is all the way up forward, and there's really no one else in the midfield who's moving back quickly enough, because Busquets and Sergio Roberto are not about to make up ground faster than the Madrid players. Okay, anyway, that being that, this is a match review, so we'll give our negatives and our positives, talk about the tactical setup, this, that, team rating, manager rating, which, to be honest, this time around, I'm even just going to forego the team rating and the manager rating, just because I do not want to facilitate bullying our own players and our own manager. Okay, I'm going to give very bad ratings, so because of that, we're just going to skip it for today. The team and manager ratings is just like not going to happen, because I've honestly just calmed down a little bit. So if this is your first time, by the way, tuning in here, I don't always do rant reviews. I do more calm, level-headed reviews. You can go ahead and check the playlist if you want. It should popping up right about now. If you like what you see here, by the way, go ahead and hit subscribe and join the family here. Anywho, let's get to talking about that very, very terrible 4-0 loss at home to Real Madrid. And before I get into maybe bringing our negatives and our positives, I just want to talk about the way that this match went, because I felt that there were 2 particular key moments which ended up deciding this game in the way that it went. Okay, the first one comes when Thibaut Courtois makes what was honestly a fantastic save from Robert Lewandowski on a chance where it looked really like Barcelona had Real Madrid against the wall. It looked like Barcelona had their knife to Real Madrid's neck and were ready to just, lop it off. But guess what happens? Right from there, Real Madrid go down the other way. Marcos Alonso, very naive of him, decides to let Rodrigo run past him. And from there, you know what it is when Real Madrid is transitioning with Benzema, with Vinicius, with Rodrigo as well. It's unstoppable, right? There's a reason why they scored so many goals on the counter-attack. That's what they did here. And in fact, it's interesting because all of Real Madrid's goals came from the counter-attack, except for the penalty. Everything else, counter-attack. I wonder what Xavi could have done to stop that. Anywho, the second pivotal moment for this match came with that penalty, because up until that penalty, Barcelona were starting to look like they could recover their bearings, and they were only 2-0 down, by the way. All they needed to do was stop the bleeding, stop Real Madrid from scoring again, and really Kessie he had a complete brain fart of a moment, gave the penalty away, and from that moment, once Real Madrid scored that third goal, you really knew like it was a wrap. Barcelona didn't really know what to do from there, owing of course to what I'm now going to give as my first negative. The tactical setup here we saw from Xavi, the typical 4-3-3, the asymmetric 4-3-3, where Gavi tucks in from left wing, coming inside with Lewandowski and Rafinha up top. And in midfield, of course, you then have Gavi, you'd have Kessie, you'd have Roberto, you'd have Busquets, and the back 4, of course, Araujo, Koundé, Balde, and Marcos Alonso. So, the first negative that I was going to mention here, which cost Barcelona this game so dearly, is naivety from the manager and also from the players. Now, I'm saying from the manager because coming into this game, Xavi knew that he didn't have both Frankie de Jong and Christensen compared to, the last meeting between the 2 teams 2 weeks ago. in La Liga, where, De Jong was arguably one of the best players on the pitch, and Christensen arguably put in one of, the best performances from our defenders. So, knowing full well that you do not have two players who are very crucial and whom you really don't have alternatives to in your team, it's a bit naive to then set your team up in exactly the same way and expect to get exactly the same kind of performance from your players. Now, this was a match during which I thought, during the first half in particular, Frank Casey was arguably Barcelona's best player. He was doing the job that needed to be done. He was controlling the midfield. He was taking the ball under pressure. He was keeping it, something which, we've criticized him a lot about. When he just came, he wasn't keeping the ball under pressure, but he was being pressed today. He was keeping the ball, and he was finding clever passes, and he was frustrating Real Madrid, which, that's well and that's good. But you have to keep in mind that if the game is going to progress into a state where FC Barcelona would have to start pushing bodies forward, then the lack of athleticism, in midfield was going to become a problem, because you can't have both Sergio Roberto and Sergio Busquets and throw everybody forward, because who is going to chase back? Who is going to do the tracking back? Usually you have Busquets and De Jong stays a little bit deeper while Busquets pushes up a little bit more, so that if Busquets can press, he can win the ball, and if Busquets misses his tackle, Frenkie de Jong can track back, and he'll be like the fourth defender, in addition to like your Araujo, your Koundé, and in this case your Marcos Alonso. And like I said, naivety from the coach in how he had set up, but then naivety as well from some of the players, because on two of the goals, the first one by Rodrigo, we saw a huge amount of naivety from Marcos Alonso by not making that foul, like we said, and really that's the one that opened the floodgates here, right? If Barcelona go into the break goalless, it's a completely different complexion to the second half. Aside from that, we also saw the naivety once again rearing its head on Benzema's first goal, the 2-0 goal, where Modric is left to just run unchecked by anyone. Now, obviously, I know Sergio Roberto couldn't bring him down. He was already on a yellow card. But I ask at that point, like, why? Why can't you just bring him down? Bring him down, then, get your red card, whatever, take one for the team. Xavi will shuffle the pack around. You sit a little bit deeper. You already know that Real Madrid struggle to break you down when you're sitting deeper. So then, you got a better chance than you did ultimately at 2-0 down, because everything just went down the drain. Moving on from that, the next negative, which we do have to talk about, is something which, once again, was, I would say, it's been consistent for Barcelona this season. I don't know what exactly needs to change for this to be remedied, because you'd think having like a top-class striker like Lewandowski would be a remedy to that, but apparently it's not. And of course, I'm talking about wasting chances. We had chances in that first half. There were not many, but we did have chances from which we could have scored a second goal, from which, the second goal in the tie, and, made that just a little bit more difficult for Real Madrid, put the tie out of their reach mentally. But obviously, I did mention that Courtois made one good save, which I don't deny that was a great save, but then you got some opportunities where we just couldn't even put the shot on target. And really, we should be able to, looking at some of the players that were out there, there's a lot of money that was spent on the likes of Rafinha, the likes of Lewandowski. They should be able to put shots on targets more consistently. And at the end of the day, that's really what the difference was here. Real Madrid put their shots on target. They went in. And in fact, they too, we could argue, were a bit wasteful at some point, because they could have scored 2 or 3 more goals here. And that's just like exemplifying how bad it got for Barcelona on the defensive end, because once again, we'll go back to that tactical naivety business where Xavi saw that the game had changed and he still wanted to persist with the same tactics instead of switching things up. But anyway, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm not going to bother with the team rating and the manager rating. Not going to bother with positives either. I didn't see any positive from that. If you did, please do let me know what that was. Sure, I did say Kessie had a decent performance in the first half, but if that's what we're going for as far as positives go, then that's just telling you how bad the situation was, isn't it? Anywho, moving on from that, we have to give the man of the match. And look, it was the first hat-trick that was scored at Camp Nou by a Real Madrid player since Puskas. That's a very long time ago. Generally, Real Madrid players don't score hat-tricks at Camp Nou. We've had the likes of, Ronaldo, both Ronaldos, come wearing that white kit, and they didn't do that. Yes, of course, Barcelona facilitated Benzema's hat-trick with that free penalty and that horrible defending in transition. But at the end of the day, he scored the hat-trick. He had a good performance. I thought Vinicius as well had probably one of his best of our Clasico performances here, just because he did finally have that space. Remember, I talked about how the thing which Barcelona did well in the first leg when they kept Real Madrid at bay is that they denied space behind their backline. Well, this time around, there was tons of it, and it was exploited as you would expect it would be. So yeah, another match, Karim Benzema. Nothing more to say other than that. And let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. Are there some things which you think I left out? What about, is there something you want to rant about or something you're upset about? Obviously, I probably would be more upset if the La Liga situation wasn't like it is. But nevertheless, I hope this doesn't ruin all the momentum that we've had in the league. Hopefully, we can just, finish this, wrap this business up, be done with this season, move on to next season. Please do hit like and subscribe. We do cover a lot of FC Barcelona content here. You can go through the playlists and the different videos that are going to be on the YouTube channel. Or if you'd rather just hear voices, you can go to the Blog and Everything podcast and you can hear more of this sultry voice. Anywho, I thank you once again for tuning in. Have a great day and Forza Barça.